Okay, my friends have spoken. Today is all about the poses that you need to know before stepping into your first yoga class. Let's go. Okay, pause. Yes, we are going to go into downward facing dog. But before we go into downward facing dog, I want to go over the basics of tabletop. When you're in tabletop, you want to be on your hands and knees. You want your shoulders over your wrists and your hips over your knees. Your knees should be about hip distance apart and hands shoulder width. Okay, now that we have our firm foundation, let's get into our downward facing dog. From our tabletop, step 1, palm print in front of you. Tuck the toes under just like so. Lift the hips up and back. Push into the balls of your feet and begin to hover the knees over the mat. And then straighten into the legs. And if they don't straighten all the way, that's totally fine. Mine don't straighten all the way. My heels definitely don't touch the floor. Us yoga teachers actually recommend that you put a nice bend into the knees when you're in downward facing dog to keep your spine nice and long so that you kind of have this upside down V shape. You want to think about your heels and your calves just relaxing, and that will naturally bring your heels a little closer to your mat. Stay active through your arms, almost like you're pushing the mat away and bringing your chest closer to your mat and your tailbone higher up to the sky. And if you're unsure about your stance, you can always shift forward into a plank. And if you easily shift forward, then you have the adequate distance. It's been my experience that a lot of the classes I've been to will have you shift from a downward facing dog to a plank. In plank, you want to make sure that you're pressing through your hands, almost like you're pushing the mat away and keeping your arms engaged so that you're not going to dump into your shoulders. If you're doing the poses with me, I highly recommend to put yourself through a little plank flow with down dog and see how that feels in your body. Moving into our second pose, mountain pose, otherwise known as Tadasana, and sometimes known as Samastitihi. You can stand with your feet either together or apart, whatever's most comfortable for you. Some people will keep their toes together, heels apart. I like to, for the most part, keep my feet hip distance because I have some lower back pain. Allow your arms to hang by your sides, palms facing either in or forward. A lot of the classes I've taken and in my practice, I like to face my arms forward. Totally optional. You'll learn in yoga that it always is yogi's choice. Crown of the head goes towards the ceiling. You want to widen through your collarbones and relax your shoulders down. Engage your core, your thighs, lift your kneecaps, and begin to take slow, deep breaths. Here you are in mountain Tadasana pose. The third pose that will help you for your first yoga class is Warrior I, also known as Virabhadrasana I. From mountain or Tadasana pose, you want to inhale your left leg up and exhale it back about 3 to 4 feet, whatever feels good for you. Your left foot is going to plant at a 45-degree angle, and your right leg is going to have a 90-degree bend in it. And if you feel like your hip points are faced one direction, say the left, widen your stance. So bring your right foot a little wider and bring your left foot a little wider. This will help balance you out and it will help move your hip points and help them face forward. Inhale the arms up. You want to draw your shoulders away from the ears, lengthen through the tailbone. Again, align the knee over the ankle. And you want to hold this pose and then begin to take slow, deep breaths. And that is Warrior I. We've got Warrior II, also known as Virabhadrasana II. I am set up in a Warrior I. I'm just going to shift my back foot that's at a 45-degree angle and make it a 90-degree angle. You want your front heel to line up in the middle of your back foot. If all looks well, bring your arms out like a T, palms face down, relax the shoulder, gaze goes over your middle finger. And you really want to make sure that the leg that's bent, that you can see your front toes. If you can't see your front toes, then you need to push your knee over towards the pinky edge side of your foot. Like any other pose in yoga, stay steady, balance the body, hold the pose, and breathe slowly. We have reverse warrior. We're going to drop our right arm, and then our left arm is just going to go forward and sky high. Palm is facing behind you. Align the bicep next to the ear if you have the mobility. Lengthen through the sides of the waist. Again, align your knee over your ankle, and make sure not to compress your spine. Slow, deep breaths, and you got it. Warrior III is one of my favorite poses because it is a balancing pose. We're going to shift our body weight into our right leg, lift our left leg and bend it, and exhale, kick it back right behind you like you're stamping the wall. You're flexing the foot, toes point down. Be sure not to lock your knee. Draw the belly in towards your spine. And you can either bring the arms out like a T. This will help with balance. I highly suggest this if you're new to yoga. And if you are just awesome at balancing postures, then you can bring your hands forward in front of you and test your balance a little more. Or you can always bring your hands at heart center. I love doing that as well. All right, guys, I've been working on this all day. As you can see, it is nighttime. I was gonna go over more poses, but I think I will just add a part 2 to this. So today we went over tabletop, downward facing dog, Tadasana, plank, warrior I, warrior II, and warrior III. And there will be a quiz. Downward facing dog, the Sanskrit name is Adho, Mukha, Svanasana. Tadasana, that's mountain pose, or otherwise known as samastitihi. Plank pose, as far as I know, is just plank pose or four-limb staff pose, maybe, I don't know. I've always just known it as plank. Warrior I, Virabhadrasana I, Warrior II, Virabhadrasana II, and Warrior III, Virabhadrasana III. I hope this helps. I hope this encourages you to get on your mat and try this out. Please, if you watch this video, give me a like, give me a comment. Tell me if you know these poses. Tell me if anything I cued helped you with the poses, and tell me what else you're looking for in content. I have a lot of time these days, so I do post weekly, and I think that's it. Okay, until next time, love you guys.